Hi, I'm Patty Lux. I'm here today to talk to you about Operating Expectation 3 and Operating Expectation 9 as it relates to the communications department. So, Adam and I are happy to bring the work from the district forward as it relates to communications and talk with you more about what that looks like through the monitoring reports. So, the first one we're going to look at is OE3, which is about the treatment of our community stakeholders. We are replacing the word stakeholder with careholder, so you'll see that throughout our document. But this operating expectation talks about how we build relationships with our community, and as it produces outcomes for students. So that's what we'll be looking at. So there are 13 measures within OE3. Four of them are communication related and how we work with our public. Seven are how we handle complaints and the systems for doing that. And then there are two that are related to confidential information and how we protect that. So just generally speaking, overall, the results of our OE3 demonstrate that the district culture continues to serve our care holders and also helps build relationships that do promote those outcomes. And then also you'll see on the following screens that the results also demonstrate that the district provides an effective way to handle complaints and the processes around that. And then also thinking about how we protect confidential information and keep that, how we take that seriously. So looking at highlights of the compliant measures, we're saying that of the 13, that all 13 are in compliance. And so we are looking at a couple different things that are highlights through this. So one is thinking about how we give our community opportunities to share with us what they're thinking, what their ideas are as it relates to the direction of the district. And so this last year, we've made a really a bigger effort, I think, to um, put an emphasis on the two-way sort of the two-way feedback. And so thinking about the Parent Leadership Council is one way where we have a group of people that we're working together on a goal, and their voice at the table matters. Thinking about our We Are Listening button, it's an opportunity for people to put information out there that we respond to if they would like a response. The annual meeting, Brad rounds with all of our schools throughout the school year a few times, and just gets a pulse. All of our senior leaders round to our SEO meetings. There's coffee with the superintendent, thinking about the Hmong family meetings that we've been holding and how their input is shaping information for us and what we're doing with that. We have employee work groups. Our students are giving input on their about menus, and also families are able, through surveys. We've been sending several surveys this year about curriculum and how families feel about that, and so that sort of worked into the results. So just thinking about, there are several ways to seek input and for places where people can provide input. The other is thinking about how we put information in front of people. And so we do have lots of different ways that we do that. A few examples are school newsletters, the annual reports, our Every Family Every Day newsletter. We mail the Sun Prairie Experience, the back to school newsletter, the calendar that's filled with all kinds of information about the district through Did You Knows. And those are all pretty strategic in certain times of the year and spread out, and are meant for not only our families who are in it and know some of the work, but it's also for the 60%, the people that are out there that do not have kids in the district, and can learn more about the district as they're a taxpayer and might not always know what is happening. So we strategically put information in front of families, which I think we do fairly well. And so then also the last one is really thinking about complaints and how those are handled. And so through our looking at the last year of data, all of the information or all of the complaints were facilitated through the correct processes. Those are like staff complaints, bullying complaints, discrimination complaints, and parent and guardian complaints. So those have been found to have been facilitated through the appropriate processes. So we're not perfect. So thinking about ways that we can continuously improve, that's something that we're always thinking about in our work in communications. And so a few things that came to mind, came to the top for us. So thinking through the scorecard, we cascade a practice profile to all of the departments. And so I want to continue to do that this next year. And that's where they take a project or something that they're working on, and they bring it to they have to facilitate it through a practice profile, sort of a rubric, if you will, to think about bringing engagement beyond sort of inform. So I think a lot of different people think about how we engage with people, and sometimes they think just informing them is enough. And we want to think more so about how we bring people in and what that looks like. And so we'll talk more about this process. But thinking about that, so we'll continue to do that this year. Also thinking about the IAP2 spectrum is something that I'm passionate about, and that is the International Association for Public Participation, and it's something that I'm in the midst of almost being certified in, and that's work I want to bring back to the district and think about. And so you see up above the inform, consult, involve, collaborate, empower. I think Brad has sort of teed that up just a little bit with all of you as board members, but thinking about how we can bring that into our work in a more meaningful way throughout the district, so that everybody sort of understands what it is and what we're doing with it. So, and I'm pretty excited about that, and thinking about not only like we're doing a pretty good job bringing in people and asking for their feedback, but thinking about then how do you reach back out to them to let them know how their voice informed the work. So there's some parts of that, even thinking about how when we ask through the survey, the spring survey that goes out to all of our students, our parents, and our staff, and thinking about, what do we do with that? Where do those results show up? And so, sort of closing the feedback loop. And then through the scorecard, school to home communication is something that will be focused on further this year. So our playbook, we're in year 2 of our playbook, and it's matured, to the process that, to the point that it's sort of a manual, and all of our principals are for the most part doing the stuff within it, but thinking about how do we elevate something from that and do it really well. And so we're going to move the whole manuals to sort of the day one readiness, so principals know about it, and it's, they're informed and doing the work, but then also thinking about how we can focus on school to home communication. It was put in this year into the scorecard as an expectation for our principals, but thinking about this next year, how we will, like, it's sort of, we'll be moving beyond a suggestion and more of a data point that we will have them put on their scorecard. So thinking about that in a more meaningful way instead of a checkboxy way, like, yep, you're doing that thing, or you're, and really like moving to having a data point that goes with that. And maybe, you all are parents on this, on the school board, and thinking about how, me personally as a parent in the system has received, how the classroom to home communication has increased this year, but we've got a ways to go. And so that's something I'd like to elevate and help our system think about. So then we're going to move into OE9. So that's communicating with the public. And so thinking about the information that we provide to our families. This is sort of similar about how we provide two-way communication, ways for our community to for our community to think about sharing information with us. So that's one of them. And then also preparing and making publicly available information about our district's our progress towards accomplishing results. So that's something we'll talk a little bit more about. So there are two measures in OE9, and we're saying that both of them are compliant. I think overall, it shows that our communication plan does continue to guide our work, and our work keeps the public adequately informed about the direction, and then also offers way for public input. Again, we still have work to do with that, but I think we have come a long ways this last year and really put a focus on that. We also offer a variety of timely and strategic communications. I think that's something that we do pretty well. And then the results also demonstrate that we make information publicly available, including student results, operating expectations, scorecards, budget work. All of those sort of things are publicly available. Just diving into that just a little bit further, thinking about, we talked a little bit in OE3 about the strategic two-way dialogue, and here's some more of the examples of places that people can give feedback. So thinking about, a lot of the places I already mentioned, but we're just where we're in front of people or they're in front of us, or if there's a place where they can, whether it's social media, where they can learn about something and ask a question, or some of these other things that we talked about. But I feel like we have come a long way with this this year. And then just thinking about communicating strategically, and so thinking about ways that we try to build support for the school district. And so we have a whole long list of things here where we are really trying to build understanding. I think something we've done well this year is expand, like really being thoughtful about making sure that our district communications are all translated into Spanish. And that's something we've done and invested in, and it's important to us. And then also sort of digging and diving in a little bit further with our Department of Systemic Equity, thinking about how we engage with our families of color, and also thinking about how we make sure that when we're really focusing on enrollment and 4K and really getting people connected with school early. We've been reaching out, doing some targeted mailings into our Title I neighborhoods and some other places to try to build awareness. So we're we've moved in a positive direction for that. So just summary of this, of the two measures, they're compliant. We're saying they're compliant for the reasons that I just talked about with you. And I think our communication plan, starts to, is really a guide for our work. And we're continuing to make strides, as I talked about, and, and also just, doing a good job communicating with the public. So, and then just again, we are not perfect. And so thinking about how we can focus on continuous improvement. So I'd say for the most part, our communication has been focused on celebrations and advocacy for the district. Everything you see is very sort of positive, and we're trying to build affinity. And what sort of is lacking is creating an understanding for our community about what the challenges are for our schools. And so that's something that we'll be working on this next year is, we do put in the annual report one time a year, like a page of here's the things that, we're being vulnerable in the sense that here are the things that we're working on. But I think I can do a better job bringing forth more information in demonstrating what those challenges are. So that's something that we're going to get strategic about this year. And then thinking about the playbook strategies I talked about a little bit, we want to really continue shifting the mindset from communication as an afterthought to a core function of our schools. And so that's something I will be digging in and working on this next year to do a better job on my end and how I help facilitate that. And then just thinking of creation of a communications committee. So we think about, building an understanding, but also we need to understand what families want and how they want to receive communication from the district. So we've asked in a variety of ways, but we'll be creating a communications committee as we move forward in the next few months, and also as we move towards year 3 of our communication plan. We'll need a committee to help us think about what that looks like in the future. So Adam and I are really happy to be able to bring the work of the district to our peers. And so a lot of the work of this district is recognized in Wisconsin and nationally. And so here's, a picture of Adam and I presenting at a conference in St. Louis. And so it's something that, we get chosen to present on a couple different topics, and people are reaching out to us and asking us about some of that work. And so we're happy to share that work with them. So I thank you for listening and hope you have a great day.